To cope with dementia, Yarrow. Seniors are turning to cannabis, you guys. That's right. More older adults are using marijuana for sleep, anxiety, and pain. And a small but growing number are taking it to manage their dementia symptoms. Now, that sounds very interesting to me. Doctors who prescribe cannabis to dementia patients say it can alleviate anxiety, agitation, and pain, and improve sleep, appetite, and mood. While there isn't much definitive research on the use of cannabis for dementia, several small studies have backed its usefulness in soothing agitation. Roughly 20% of the people who come for a cannabis consultation now are dementia patients, says Dr. Jeffrey Hargengather, a general practitioner in Sebastopol, California. Look at that. He's in your neck of the woods, Shire, who has made cannabis his specialty for more than 25 years. Some dementia patients and their caregivers are seeking alternatives after traditional medications haven't provided relief or caused unsettling side effects, doctors say. In a quote, they say, "It's a fairly common practice among people living with dementia," says Brenda Roberts, executive director of the nonprofit National Council of Dementia Minds, a dementia patient advocacy group. And marijuana comes up frequently in discussion groups, she adds. She says her 72-year-old husband, Mark Roberts, who was diagnosed with vascular dementia a little over 10 years ago, takes a liquid dose of cannabis twice a day to help control anxiety and outbursts. He takes a higher dose of THC gummy at night as needed to help him with sleep. And Mark Roberts says cannabis helps him relax and improves his relationship with his wife. The couple live in Elwell, Michigan. And in a quote, they say, "It just calms me down," he says. "It gets your nerves down so you're not so rattled. It helps your thought process so you're not so upset," he says. Cannabis can lead to drowsiness, which raises the serious risk of falls in older people with dementia, and that drowsiness can further weaken cognitive function in Alzheimer's patients, says Dr. Jacobu Minzer, a psychiatrist and professor at the University of South Carolina, who is researching cannabis treatment in dementia patients. Most doctors who support cannabis for dementia currently recommend it for people in the middle to late stages of the disease, and they say further study is needed to see if it can be used in earlier stages and to weigh benefits with potential risks. They typically prescribe THC and the main psychoactive component in marijuana in combination with CBD, another part of the cannabis plant that doesn't produce a high. And CBD can decrease the psychoactive effects of THC and enhance positive properties, Minzer says. A new National Institute on Aging is evaluating a combination of CBD and THC in late-stage hospice-eligible dementia patients who suffer from severe agitation, and typically they are treated with antipsychotics, but those have side effects, including severe constipation, confusion, and sometimes even increased agitation, says Minzer, who is the principal investigator of the study. I mean, why wouldn't antipsychotics, cause confusion? I mean, it's crazy to me, but whatever. In a quote, they say, "We expect that this treatment will allow patients to die with dignity and without agitation or fear," he says. The caregivers are delighted that we're trying new medications to improve the quality of life in the last weeks or days of the patients' lives. Annika Leon says her mother, Barbara Leon, who has Alzheimer's disease and lives in an assisted living care community in Santa Cruz, California, has been taking THC edibles about 10 months. And Leon thought of edibles for her mother after noticing that she was experiencing more anxiety and psychosis symptoms while on other medications. And at first, her mother took an edible during the day to see if it would help with anxiety, and says Leon Will, a mental health therapist, but her mother seemed less steady on her feet, so she switched to taking it only at night. The edible has, in quotes, been really helpful with sleep in particular and to some degree anxiety, Leon Wheel says. She also says she is much more able to stay asleep through the night and just kind of relax in her bed even if she wakes up. There isn't much definitive research on cannabis and its impact on cognitive impairments and dementia, says Dr. Ronald Peterson, a professor of neurology at the Mayo Clinic College of Medicine and Science in Rochester, Minnesota. And still, he has had patients and caregivers ask about it and hasn't discouraged them from taking it. And a quote says, sometimes it can produce a calming effect for people, he says, noting that it isn't clear whether it does anything to treat the underlying disease. A recent study of 75 Alzheimer's patients indicated in preliminary results that 5 milligrams of synthetic THC twice a day significantly decreased agitation compared with the placebo effect, and the researchers from Johns Hopkins University School of Medicine and Tufts University School of Medicine presented the findings at several conferences this year and are preparing them for publication. A 2019 study had similar findings, but also reported increased drowsiness among some people. And surprisingly, THC appeared to improve cognitive function in older animals, and some studies say Zevia Cooper, director of the UCLA Center for Cannabis and Cannabinoids, even though it impairs functioning in younger animals. Interesting. And Cooper has received National Institutes of Health funds to compare the effects of cannabis in groups of younger, middle-aged, and older adults. And the quote says, there really hasn't been comparison, she says. That is a serious gap given that there are so many older people are starting to use it, they say. Well. Cannabis for dementia. I think that is a new one, and I can't wait to hear what you guys have to say about this. You think these guys?
We reported on it the other day. Remember?
You think these guys are going to forget to take their cannabis?
Jason.
I'm just asking. It's a serious question.
Funny.
It's a serious question.
It's a serious funny is what it is. Look, Dr. Jeffrey Hergenrather has been at the forefront for a very long time, and I really appreciate that you called out that he lives in this sleepy little bucolic town called Sebastopol in West Sonoma County, where I'm lucky enough to also reside and be raising my youngins. This gentleman, I'm incredibly biased. When the government tried to take away my right to use medical cannabis, Dr. Jeffrey Hergenrather, as my doctor, was an expert witness, and I had to fight in the legal system to be able to use medical cannabis instead of opioids, and to have that be a condition of my release from my last round of cannabis convictions back in the Paleolithic era. This gentleman has been at the forefront for a really long time. This is the type of person that I hope receives massive angel investment support, massive support from any of the agencies that can really help him to further the medical research. He's not just in Sebastopol. He's traveled quite extensively as a result of the work he's doing. We unfortunately always have to end these articles with, more research is needed. This is promising, but not definitive, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Hopefully there's a world in which federal legalization or decriminalization allows for more research, because I do think that the promise of medical cannabis is something that we shouldn't let get lost when we are also reporting on rosy sales from mid-tier states, and we're talking about adult use and money and markets and capitalism and the way in which people can do well by being involved in this industry. I think it's important to remember that at the end of the day, the promise for treatment or cure or reduction of major diseases is probably the best thing about cannabis. And it's people like Dr. Hergenrather who continue to shine a light on those opportunities and to try to replace question marks with answers. So God bless him. God bless his family. We're thanking those who served our country today.
Yes.
And Hergenrather never picked up a gun and probably never put on a uniform, although I don't know his history as a young man. But let's be clear. He is also serving our country and serving our people and serving our populace in a way that is deeply noble.
Fair enough. Fair enough. What are your thoughts on this, Jenny Beth?
I mean, I'm just stoked. We reported on it a few weeks ago, right? And I sent the article to my stepdad, who has been diagnosed with dementia recently. So hopefully we'll see more positive outcomes coming out. I mean, the fall risk thing is definitely a concern, but
yeah, right. I worry about that. I mean, I have problems falling myself, and so you know what I mean.
We always catch you, Jason.
But you can't make cannabis the fall guy.
I see what you did there, Yarrow. That's cute.
Wow, Yarrow.
That's cute. That's cute.
Good
But
job.
but I do notice that like when like I take edibles that I'm much more lethargic. Like it is like my legs become like rubber bands, and it's harder to stabilize. And so I definitely sympathize with these seniors at that point in time in their life. That's
I would
for
just
sure.
say sit down when you get stoned.
I know, but then you still got to get up and go to bed, Jenny,
Yeah, eventually.
and that could be a
Why
walk.
can't you just pass out on the couch, Jason, and drool on the side of your cheek like anybody else?
No, see, because I don't get good sleep when I sleep on the couch, and then I like end up like sleeping in some weird position, and then I'm like hurting, and you know what I'm saying, in the morning, and it's just not a fun experience.
Just call to me. I'll bring the blanket to your sex swing. You don't need to move.
Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy.
Pause.
Well, yeah, pause, yeah. well,